Fox host Eric Bolling decided to debate profiling on his show today, and the comments that followed are an all-you-can-eat buffet of stupid.
We know how to find the terrorists among us. Profile, profile, profile. Wayne, this is the most controversial topic we've ever done on Cashin In, but isn't it time to profile?
Well, Eric, absolutely. I mean, it just makes common sense. I mean, if you're looking for a fugitive who's, say, a white male over 50 years of age, I mean, you're going to profile. You're going to look for that person. You're not going to look for somebody who's 21. So yes, absolutely, you should profile. You've got to profile. I know there's a delicate balance between liberty and if you will, in security in these cases, but there's no other way to do it. You've got to do it. Yes, of course, it's stupid not to.
All right, Jonathan, what about it? Are we trampling or are we treading on the Constitution by saying maybe it's time to profile?
Well, Eric, we should be listen, we should have been profiling on September 12th, 2001. I mean, let's take a trip down memory lane here. The last war this country won, we put Japanese Americans in internment camps. We dropped nuclear bombs on residential city centers. So, yeah, I think profile would be at least a good start.
Okay, you did just hear that correctly. He did just look back in a positive light at Japanese internment camps and nuclear bombing civilians. He was like, profiling, we'd totally do that. In fact, remember back in the day when we used to put people in internment camps and nuke them? The good old days. Because we're more moral than everybody else. The Japanese internment camp portion of history in the U.S. is a giant blemish on the report card that is the United States of America. Okay? It's in the same conversation as the Native American genocide, slavery, and Jim Crow, where we took all people who were Asian and said, sorry, you're going to need to go in a camp because we don't fucking trust you. Everybody looks back at that now and goes, kind of shouldn't have did that. And to ever look at a situation where you nuke civilians as if like, those were the days. Could you imagine what somebody thinks as they're watching this and like they had family that died in it, you know, or there's a higher incidence of certain types of cancer and radiation poisoning in wherever, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, as a result of it. And they're like, did this motherfucker, did he really just say that? Imagine if the roles were reversed and it's somebody else, you know, nobody else dropped a nuke, so they can't do this, but somebody else did it, and then they would talk about it nonchalantly, like, the good old days when Iran, nuked Israel. It was great. Barbarian savages, they're terrorists, but when we do it, they act like those were the good old days. Fox News is nothing but an endless parade of stupid. It's an endless parade of low IQs. Now, understand, the bigger point they made, too, is moronic. So let's stop and think about this logically, based on the data and the evidence. So what's their argument? Well, you gotta go where there's smoke, there's fire. So if a certain group is doing crime, then you gotta profile. That's the solution. They all agree. Profile. Okay, if you really wanted to profile in the United States of America for terrorism and mass shooting, you'd profile white people. I would be a prime suspect if we really wanted to profile in the United States of America for the people who were doing the most terrorism and mass shootings. Now, why do I say that? What's my evidence for that? Well, there was a study commissioned under George W. Bush. Okay, so no bias here or anything. Done by the Department of Homeland Security, where they looked into all of the terrorist attacks in the United States of America from the 1990s until that year, which was 2009. You know what they found? 56% of all the terrorist attacks were done by right-wingers. It was conservatives and Christians and militia groups and patriot groups, man, that were doing all the violence, or I should say 56% of the violence. So, if you want a profile, look in the fucking mirror, Slappy. You're the key target. But no, see, in their mind, they think, well, only Muslims do terrorism, so target them. But that's not what the data says. The data actually says it's right-wingers. We're talking about the KKK. We're talking about neo-Nazis, Nazi groups. We're talking about patriot militias, of which they exploded under President Obama, by the way. We're talking about sovereign citizens groups. They're on the ascendancy, and they've done massive amounts of terrorism. Just earlier this year, in a Georgia courthouse, a guy went in with a bomb strapped to his chest, lighting people up. Thankfully, he was shot and killed before he could do any more damage. But this is the terrorism that is most prevalent in the United States of America. It is a fact that it is not Muslim terrorism. Now, if you want to talk about internationally, then sure, Muslim terrorism is more prevalent. But in the United States specifically, it's right-wingers. So if you want to profile yourself.